New recruits, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to defeat the evil Emperor Zurg by maxing out your score and becoming a Galactic Hero on Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger spin in Walt Disney World. I'm Heather with Seeking the Magical, and I'm here to teach you how. Now I know, you've likely seen videos or posts from other sources telling you how to reach Galactic Hero status before, but I promise you, we have tips and ride secrets that they don't cover. You see, I've watched those videos and read those posts too, and I tried for years to get 999,999 points, but I just couldn't do it. I would solidly get in the 700,000 plus range with regularity, but the standard tips and tricks were not enough for me to max out. I couldn't figure out why. So in the interest of achieving my goal and helping all of you too, I took up residence one night recently on Space Ranger Spin until I cracked the code. I'm proud to say I succeeded with help from the wonderful cast members, and I can valiantly call myself a true Galactic Hero now. So whether you're like me and have struggled with this before, or you're brand new to this spectacular space battle, stay tuned to hear all the tips and tricks for how to maximize your score. I promise you have not heard all of these before. First, I'll walk you through the main elements of success, including the structure of the ride, where the big point targets are, and crucially, the best approaches to hit them. This will likely be enough for 90+% of you to achieve Galactic Hero status, but everyone should stick around until the end, where I'll tell you the additional tips and secrets that all but assure your success, so stay tuned for that. After receiving your mission from Buzz in the queue, you'll board your XP-37 Star Cruiser headed for the Gamma Quadrant in search of the enemy Zurg. Your voyage begins in a black room lit by a spinning disco ball alien thing to your left. There are no targets in this room, but about halfway through, your Star Cruiser will charge up and your infrared laser cannon will activate. The best thing to do at this point is quickly practice moving your ride vehicle side to side by using the joystick in the middle of the dashboard. Then, as you're leaving the room, take aim at the wall or a close object ahead of you in order to locate your laser and get a feel for the shooter. If you're tall like my husband and me, it's challenging to squinch down low enough to see anything in the sight of the cannon, so having a feel for your shooting position is key. When entering the battle zone, focus on the large orange robot on your left-hand side. The robot's left arm, the one that is furthest away from you entering the room, has a target on his hand that is worth 100,000 points. You always want to aim for the small center dot on the large circle targets emblazoned with the letter Z. Stick with this one from the very beginning and shoot it repeatedly if you can. This is easier from the left side of the cruiser to start, as the other ride vehicles and passengers will block the right-hand side for a little bit. As you get closer though, both sides will have great shots. You probably noticed that the video footage of the approach to the robot is shaky and jolting. That is because your Star Cruiser will automatically start moving on you about 15 feet into the room. You'll want to be prepared with one hand on the joystick to turn it back to the left, so you continue facing the robot and don't turn away yet. Just know your cruiser will jolt you around repeatedly throughout the voyage, so it's good to be prepared for these moments always. Stay with the robot's hand right up to the point where you're about to pass the left arm, because you can hit it until the very end. Then, quickly spin your car to the right and aim for the target on the claw hand hanging from the ceiling right before the room exit. The claw is easiest to hit from this point, before passing it, or after you've passed it. It actually cannot be hit from directly beneath it, as your cannon is mounted to the vehicle and that angle is impossible. Stay with it though, and make certain to turn your ride vehicle around to keep facing the claw as you leave the room, because there are some great shots even 5+ feet into the next room. This target is also worth 100,000 points, and it's possible to hit it several times. The next room is the largest in the ride, and it is the most fun if you ask me. Once you've lost sight of the claw from the last room, turn your cruiser so you're facing into the vast room. Note, this little monster guy will try and get in your way immediately, but you should ignore him so he doesn't follow you more. Wait until you have a clear sight of the volcano against the back wall, and take aim for the highest target on the mountain. It's worth 50,000 points, and once you hit it, the volcano will start to erupt. Keep hitting it until your shot is blocked and enjoy the special effects. Then, take a little time to hit what you want on the left-hand side or spin to the right and get those ones along the wall. I like to do that, but this part is really yours to play around with. Be ready to spin back toward the center of the room though as soon as you round the corner, and take aim at the top of the volcano again. You have perfect aim for several more seconds here, and it's possible to hit it repeatedly again. When you can no longer make the volcano erupt, have some fun shooting at the monster popping up out of the box if you can. There's an elusive 50,000 point target here too, but know that this one seems to not always register, so focus more on having fun. As you leave the room, keep your ride vehicle turned to the right and hit the targets on the wall for some easy practice. As tempting as it will be to face forward and turn to the left to the battery room, stay to the right or you'll miss one of the best places to hit a big target. By facing to the right, you'll be ready to hit the Z target on the bottom of Zurg's spaceship in the next room that is also worth 100,000 points. Prove your marksmanship here when entering the room and when leaving the room, because it will not work when you're right in front of Zurg. Stay with it as you move along the room so you can get the right angles before and after. It even works several feet into the next room if you keep your cruiser pointing in that direction. I think this target is your best bet in many ways because the range is much closer and the tricky angles make it harder for lots of people to shoot it at once. Thus, your shots have a better chance of registering overall. Next, you'll encounter a spinning wheel of targets heading into a dark room that is followed by a star tunnel with Zurg's flying spaceship. Hit whatever you want and can on the wheel and aim for Zurg's spaceship in the tunnel. The projection is fairly poor quality, so the targets are hard to see, but there is one at the bottom of his ship that is worth a chunk of points, and one that Zurg is holding too. Basically, do what you can here if you have not maxed out your score yet. Your final chance to join the ranks of Galactic Heroes the world over is in the next room. Here, you'll lose control of your ride vehicle as it stays facing to the right to capture the Memory Maker ride photo. If you still need points, aim for the Z target at the bottom of Zurg's ship again, and rack up 25,000 points for every successful shot. Keep shooting the other targets on the ship as you leave the room, raking in every point you can. In the final room, sit back and admire your work. I'm pretty certain you and your fellow Junior Space Rangers will succeed in capturing Zurg. That will likely be enough for most of you to become Galactic Heroes too. But if you've tried all that and it hasn't resulted in the top rank yet, or if you just want to be extra prepared for your next cosmic battle, here are the additional tips and tricks that will make all the difference, starting with the two biggest ones. First, let's talk about the downfall of having a chivalrous husband. Just kidding. He's a sweetheart and very gracious, which is not a downfall at all, but I discovered that it has an impact on this ride. You see, Brian always lets me get into the ride vehicle first. How cute, I know. My dad did this too since we started riding it years ago, so basically every time I've been on this ride, I've been on the left-hand side. As I said before, this is the ideal side for the first big target on the robot's hand. However, it turns out that it's actually much worse for most of the other big targets. I had no idea. I discovered this by accident when I was riding it on a loop recently, and I decided maybe my gun wasn't working and switched sides. I was amazed at the subtle but important differences in angles. Now, if you're a superior marksman, you can get 999,999 points from either position, but the right-hand side is much easier. Who knew, right? I've never heard anyone recommend that before, but once I switched, one of the cast members working the ride laughed and said, "Ah, you figured it out, that is the better side." So, learn from me, sit on the right-hand side closest to the exit of the cruiser, and see the difference for yourself. Secondly, always hold your thumb trigger down continuously. I heard this tip before, but I heard that your gun will constantly fire if you do this. The constant firing claim is a misnomer. It doesn't. I was going off that though, so I figured my cannons were broken when I could tell they weren't constantly firing, making me stop holding the trigger down and start pressing it down to shoot as often as possible. That is not the best way though. To clarify this for you, the guns do not fire constantly even when you hold the trigger down, so you will not see your laser beam continuously. There is a timer on the firing mechanism that will only let it fire once every second plus. When you depress the trigger continuously, your cannon will fire at the millisecond it's able to fire again, making your laser appear and disappear with the firing mechanism. You will usually still get that little signal that it fired, but sometimes it can be hard to sense it, so just keep it pressed down throughout. This is easier on your thumb anyway, and it saves you the valuable fraction of a second from pressing and releasing the trigger. Plus, your timing of pressing it down is likely not perfectly synced with the internal timer on the shooter, thus costing more time. Knowing what targets to hit and how, plus these 2 extremely valuable tips, should secure your Galactic Hero status. But if you're still struggling, here are some additional tricks that will help. 1. Always be the one controlling the ride vehicle and where it turns so you can set yourself up for the best shots. If that is not enough, ride alone in your Star Cruiser, making certain to sit on the right-hand side still, so there are less lasers coming from your vehicle for a better chance at the shots. Along with this, go on the ride as soon as the park opens in the morning or late at night at park close, so there are fewer people on the ride and less lasers to compete with overall. Early morning extra magic hours are great for this, but my favorite time to go is when there are late night extra magic hours. You can also do what I did, which was go to an after hours event in Magic Kingdom. The ride was so dead that the cast members just let me stay in the vehicle and loop repeatedly until I wanted to get off. That helped me get a lot of ride time and practice, so I could troubleshoot and figure out the additional tips. Finally, remember that this is supposed to be fun. Achieving the status of Galactic Hero is a great personal goal, but it isn't about rubbing it in the face of your fellow Space Rangers. A little competition can be fun, of course, but shout out to my former youth director and her saying that if the game gets between the love, then it's time to put the game away. Don't make us put Space Ranger Spin away. Have fun with it, achieve your goal, defeat Zurg, and remember to take a picture of your score so that the cast members can hook you up with a special sticker or a button when you exit the ride. Wear it loudly and proudly, my fellow Galactic Hero. You earned it.